Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Knuckles the Echidna here, and I'm back for some more yet again from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of our Let's Play of Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo 3DS. Mainly by the forms of Pac-Man Party 3D, but that's besides the point. So the last time rather, that we did manage to play through this is the fact that we actually gone through 3 classic games on the forms of the forms of the actual mode itself, but the forms of we did manage to play through a bit of Dig Dug, Galaga, and of course Pac-Man. So yeah, we managed to able to actually go through all 3 of those rewards with no problems whatsoever. Sometimes we occasionally have some fun here and there, especially with Pac-Man itself, because I seem to recognize the game a lot. So even then, yeah, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the final video of the specific Let's Play of Pac-Man Party, because the only 2 modes we need to able to show off is the forms of both minigames mode, due to some of these minigames that we have not seen throughout the majority of the Let's Play, and the rewards section. Now, I probably might as well able to point things out, as I've already mentioned about this countless amount of times. We're probably not going to go for story mode, just because we've already seen the majority of every single board, except they have to go through like the normal variation of the boards themselves, so there aren't any special variations or anything. So even then, with that being said, let's get this thing started by the forms of showing these mini games that we haven't seen yet for the majority of the Let's Play. Now, if I remember correctly, well, first of all, we need to select some characters here. I believe our players Pac-Man, and computer players are going to be both Pinky and Inky and why not? I might as well able to actually bring back Clyde just for the sake of revenge, but in forms of like some mini games that we've lost. So from the start though, not only do you able to actually change your computer player's difficulty, but also you can able to actually turn on the power cookies on or off. So for me, I'm also able to actually show off what the power cookies can do in some of the mini games. So even then, we're about to get this thing started. So now, as far as I'm aware, that we actually have like 5 selection of mini games that we have not seen throughout the majority of the Let's Play. So I think I've wrote down the list here. So first all we have is Bottle Rocket Blast Off, and also Haunted Pumpkins, and also Pac-Man Tea Party. And also, what else is there? I must have really felt a little bit rusty at this point in the stage. Paint Rolling Rivals, and I believe there's going to be a 5th and a final one, which appears to be Incoming Fruits. Even then though, yeah, we're about to get started right there. Bottle Rocket Blast Off, the first ever minigame that we have not seen throughout the majority of this Let's Play. So yeah, let's get this thing to it. Okay, Bottle Rocket Blast Off. Blast off into the air by shaking your soda bottle. Shake in any direction you like. The player that flies the furthest wins. So, basically, it's kind of like the equivalent to Shake It Up, but it forms within Mario Party 8. Except, well, you do have to utilize the forms of the distance you have to go through. See, Fernando, yeah, you just have to, like, keep shaking it any kind of multitude of directions, and then once you've done so, then you would blast off, and you would able to get the further distance from it. So naturally, I found that to be quite an alright game, even though it feels kind of similar to the ones in in Mario Party 8, except you can able to actually just do motion controls in every kind of directions, which is always unique. But I believe the power cookie on that particular minigame is the fact that I'm pretty sure the soda bottle will actually just manage to increase the size a little bit. So even then, that's the only solution about the forms that the power cookie can do. Alright, so the next minigame we haven't seen yet, and that's the forms of... This one's probably one of my favorite ones. Incoming Fruit. Cut the flying fruit by swinging your knife. Don't cut anything you can't eat. The player with the highest score wins. So you have to, like, swing the Wiimote downwards until you're able to actually just time your swing. So even then, that's all that really does, but it forms with the actual control scheme in mind. So even then, yeah, just have to, like, not to hit those tires and all that stuff, even for metal objects here and there. You're just gonna have to like cut those fruits, and that's all you have to do here. And I believe the power cookie can do on this mini game though is the fact that I'm pretty sure is the fact that not only do you able to actually get yourselves double amount of points, but also because of how the fact that you're able to actually do a multitude of swing slashes. So I think that's the only emphasis that I think that it might be easily become broken these days, even with the forms of like the power cookies usage, especially notable with the forms of the newcomers who actually managed the first time experience of the game. They probably able to actually utilize the power cookie itself, obviously. So even then though, you know, you get the idea. Alright, so next we have is Haunted Pumpkins, another new minigame that we haven't seen yet throughout in this Let's Play, so might be a perfect opportunity until when Luigi's Mansion on the 3DS were about to be on its horizon, and even though it did already release today, or just recently, on North America, so thought it's worth bringing this up, so yeah. Haunted Pumpkins. Shoot the pumpkin ghosts and escape from the scary mansion. The player with the highest score wins. So, it's basically another one of those mini games that you have to like shoot these enemies and all that stuff. So, nothing too surprising for the most part though, but other than that, you just have to like rank up some more points and all that stuff. And I think that's how this mini game summarizes it. So, but sometimes though you might actually see those different variations of the forms of the actual pumpkins themselves. Like we've got the normal orange ones, which actually gives you like you know, just only 1 point, and also the yellow ones, or in this case the actual green ones, might actually give you like, I would say 3 points. And I believe there's also a sparkly rare variation of that specific pumpkin that allows you to able to actually just to go ahead and add in a lot more points. So yeah, I thought it was worth bringing it up. So anyways, let's go ahead and just dish out as many of those enemies as possible. Or in this case, not so much for enemies, but just pumpkins itself. So yeah, I believe the golden pumpkin might be very difficult to obtain though, even then, more so to the any other 2 color variations of the actual pumpkins. So yeah, it might be a perfect way to able to actually just celebrate with, not only with the UK version of the forms of Luigi's Mansion Remake on the 3DS will be on its way and during this Friday, because today was actually forms of the 15th of October in 2018. So, naturally speaking, we've only got 4 more days until that remake is about to be released. So, geez, time really do flies, doesn't it? Alright, so I believe the 4th minigame we haven't sort of played yet, and that is the forms of Pac-Man Tea Party. Now, technically speaking, I did manage to play this minigame before on my first recording attempt on the forms of Spooky Hollow, but due to the fact that how rubbish the actual session is, so I don't think I can able to include that. So, Pac-Man Tea Party, battle it out in teacup boats. Shoot water into other players' cups to sink them. The last player standing wins. So, yeah, you have to like shoot the water at any opponent's you know, teacup and everything, and then as you can tell, because you do have to utilize the actual stamina system, and then once you're able to reach to 0, this means you're out of the game. So even then though, I believe the power cookie is going to be also broken, because it might actually be pretty unfair, because you know, as you can tell, that Pinky did manage to able to use one, and she managed to defend herself. So even then though, that's another one of those minigames that are considerably broken with the forms of the power cookies usage. But the reason why I decided to do that is because I just wanted to show you guys how the power cookie system can do with the forms of some of the minigames, which I still really think that some of them can get downright broken at times, and some of them can be pretty easy to able to get advantage of. But it's just as how the way the fact of the matter is though, is that if you're really a hardcore gamer like I do for myself, sometimes the power cookie system can get pretty ridiculously broken sometimes, which I will say that much. Yeah, I do apologize about the forms of how the fact that what's going on with my voice today. Because the reason being for that is because I almost felt slightly sick today, but I need to take myself easier when it comes to like doing a commentary and all that stuff. But I digress. So let's move on to the final minigame of the forms of the games that we have not played yet, and also by the forms of the Pac-Man Party experience, and that will have to be Paint rolling rivals. Navigate your roller to paint the canvas with your color and cover other player over other players' paint. The player who paints the most wins. So this minigame is so similar to the ones in the forms of Stamp Out, in the forms of in Mario Party 4, and especially notable with the forms of Splitting Out, but the forms of Mario Party Star Rush, and especially notable with Flinker Painting from Mario Party 9, except that how the fact that in both Mario Party 9 and especially with Star Rush, you have to utilize the actual counterpulse to able to actually fling the paint blobs all over to the actual picture. And then, yeah, that's as far as I can say how this will go. So even then, all you do is have to, like, cover up most of the actual paint, and yeah, that's all you have to really do for this part. So, I wonder who will win, I wonder. I'm not exactly for sure about that, but I'm pretty sure. Please be me, please be me. Ah! I was 1 point off! Or in this case, 1% off. Ah, damn you, Clyde. I will go punch you next time. Oh, whatever. It's just showing off every single mini-game, so that's why I could really think about it. And I believe the power cookie usage on that one, though, is the fact that I'm pretty sure your paint roller will able to actually become bigger. So even then, that might be another one of those mini-games that are considerably broken with the power cookie system and stuff. And yeah, I forgot to mention by the forms of the Haunted Pumpkins mini-game, that if you use the power cookie like I just managed to show you guys about that, you get yourselves a double crosshair, so even then, meaning that you get like 2 cursors to able to actually just aim for the actual pumpkins and all that stuff. So yeah, you get the idea with the solution. So anyways, that's the minigames done. Sadly, there's not much content on the forms of the other minigame modes aside just play minigames itself. Or else, unlike in the forms of how it does in the superior Mario Party series, they do have like a little bit more modes to it than that. So, and finally, we should able to end things off with the actual Let's Play is the rewards you can get. And as you can see, that some of these pieces are actually missing by the forms of like somewhere across the road. The reason being for that is because I haven't really exactly 100% everything, because as you can see, I've got 38 out of 50, because, well, as you can tell, that depends on what situations you're actually going to be going through. Like, in order to actually unlock those rewards, you have to do those specific conditions and all that stuff. Like, for instance, becoming first place with any kind of character you want to wish to able to play as. Like, I've already picked Pinky, Clyde, or Inky yet, but I'll do that on my own time, but not now though. And also stuff like play one of those boards for the very first time and claim first place within. And also deal out with these boss battles, which you can either deal with them from the main boards, or you can able to actually just to tackle for them in the forms of the free play mode, if I remember correctly. And also stuff like going through special course of variation, or the normal course of variations of the one of the 5 main boards of the game. Well, 3 if you want to count from the forms of the 3DS version, which I found is still really lame. And also stuff like play certain amount of games in party mode, which is absolutely ridiculous to able to go through. And also there's one over there on the number 26 is the fact that you have to be in first place against with 3 strong CPU computer players enjoying the likes of in party mode, because I don't think in story mode it doesn't have a difficulty settings, so even then though that I could expect it this might be a little bit more like, I don't know, a standard normal mode or something like that. But that's just how I think it is. And also stuff like achieving high scores in the forms of both Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dick Duck. And also use the hovering boots for your own disposal. And even just trying to keep your hovering boots until you reach to the very end of the cookie factory. And finally, by the forms of like some challenges like all those rewards like take back a stolen level 5 castle in single player party mode, which I don't think I've actually done that yet, because I did manage to try to test that out before on story mode, but it doesn't seem to work like that. So even then I just want to point things out. So, but yeah, as you can tell, that I don't think you can able to get everything else if you manage to able to get all 50 of those rewards, because all you get is just basically just a little bit a nice little artwork of every single like sculptures and everything, like every single character, every locales, and all that stuff. So even then though, that again, you don't usually unlock everything, or you don't unlock something extra once you're able to, you know, get every single reward, so which I found is kind of pointless. But as far as what I've heard, then yeah. So yeah, that was it, folks. That was it for our Let's Play of Pac-Man Party for the Nintendo Wii slash Nintendo 3DS. Overall, for my final thoughts of the game, I will say though that between these two versions of Pac-Man Party, which are the Wii version and the 3DS version, I still think the Wii version is definitely the superior of the bunch, just because of the actual, like, visuals do look, very, very good. Well, usually in some areas, because sometimes that, character animations can get pretty jerky-ish at times. And, especially noticeable how the fact that on the Wii version does retain 5 boards instead of the 3 boards, unlike the bare bones 3DS version. And, also the amount of, minigames that are kind of alright. I mean, surely they're not the greatest in the entirety of the party games, like, normally what Mario Party does it quite right though is the forms of the variety of minigames you can able to actually just manage to interact with, and sometimes they are very unique and sometimes original. Well, usually mostly original by the forms of in Mario Party, but this game kind of does the same thing, except it's way too similar by the forms of Mario Party games, including Sonic Shuffle for that matter as well. But like, at least they did try to able to actually did something new to the mix, like, there's no stars to be grinding through, but you're still able to collect those, cookies and all that stuff, which is basically is equivalent to coins and etc. So, I still really think that the Wii version is definitely a definition of a, well, let's just say a rant, because I highly suggest you skip over the 3DS version, because the 3DS version is awful, because of, you know, bare bones amount of content and all that stuff. And I do apologize if my capture footage has gone pretty lacking these days, because that's what my capture card is for these days. But other than that though, the only negative things I can think about in the forms of the Wii version of the game is the fact that the story is nothing remarkably spectacular though, it's just plain simple. Basically, the main plot in the game is the fact that Pac-Man needs to able to actually save the Cookie Man who normally runs the Cookie Factory, and then Pac-Man needs to stop the other opponents, mainly by the forms of those 4 ghosts. So, typical standard stuff for a Pac-Man story like this, but other than that though, there's no secret villain or anything like that, so it's nothing too groundbreaking. And also some of these minigames can be downright, you know, stupidity sometimes, but in forms of like, Puka Pop is always kind of luck-based at times, and also by the forms of some of these minigames does have some bit of control issues sometimes. Like, I swear, I recently managed to able to actually just trying to get the hit detection going in the forms of Impact Valley, but for whatever reason, my hit detection doesn't seem to able to co-op with it with me. I mean, the only highlight of the actual game so far is that if you ever guys haven't played the good old arcade games and all that stuff, like Pac-Man or Galaga or Dig Dug, these were the highlights of the game, because you can able to actually play those 3 all in one disc, which I think is actually a very good way to able to actually play them. But other than that though, I think it's just a pretty mediocre game at best. Although not the greatest Wii games I ever played, I mean, you should probably go ahead and rent it. So, but if you don't like that kind of stuff, just go for Mario Party. So even then though, that's the only best way to play party games and stuff. It might be pretty fun though, but either way. So yeah, this is me, Knuckles, here from the likes of the Maxi Toys, and until then, I'll be off, and I'll see you guys soon. So see you guys then. Bye.